What's up, y'all? So I'm kind of excited to make this video. This is just a touch base on Project Me. I may not do a video every week. This is Saturday morning. I got up this morning, took some time to just rest and reflect on the week. Wrote in my journal a little bit. We'll talk about that in the video, and listen to an audio book for a little while. And I went to the gym, and this differs from my recent past routine of getting up and jumping right into work, whether it's woodwork in the shop or working on the house. So it feels kind of nice. I've gotten some more rest this week, and I have found that my fitness and physical fitness was not a high priority when I started this, even though it needs to be, and I'll kind of explain that a little bit. So what I'm hoping to do is better myself through this project on all assets, all face levels, from inside, from outside. So my physical health, weight loss, strength gain, things like that is definitely a priority for the big picture. But I wasn't necessarily interested in jumping right in this big physical transformation that usually ends up with, going hard for a couple weeks and then fizzling out and going back to old habits. So what I'm trying to do is implement small habits, one at a time, whether that be one a day or one a week. It doesn't matter. I'm not on a time frame. Deadlines and time frames are something I'm trying to get rid of in my life. So what I found this week, though, because I'm such a gym rat in my bones and spent so much time my entire adult life in the gyms and working out and those things, that the desire to jump right back in is like a wildfire. And so I've done a little more physical activity this week than I anticipated, and that's okay. This is a rough draft. This is just chapter 1 of this book that I'm writing in my head. So I walked every day before work. I walked during my lunch break. I'm very, very fortunate because my work has a pretty nice fitness center, and it just so happens to be about 15 feet from my office door. So very convenient. That is a huge advantage for somebody trying to build habits for a fitness routine. So walk before work every day, walk on my lunch break, and I started on day 2 implementing something else. A very minor change is 10 push-ups before my walk and 10 push-ups after my walk. Let's talk about these push-ups, y'all. It's embarrassing, man, but I tell you what, I found it as hard to get down in the floor and get back up as I did to do the 10 push-ups at this stage of my physical build. So pretty eye-opening. It feels good to be moving again. It feels good to be paying attention to that stuff again. Nutrition-wise, improved 150% this week with minor changes that, as long as I keep my workflow down, I can sustain. The food is good. My wife is doing the keto diet, so for a guy like me, meats and cheeses and stuff like that, I can get down with. So I haven't had, by default and not by design, I haven't had many sugars and carbs this week, and that affected my moods. It affected me being tired early in the evenings and wanting to go to bed early, but it's something that I'm getting through. And just all around good meals. If you want to see some of the meals we're making, leave something down in the comments. Maybe I'll start showing a little bit of the meals for the week during these videos, if that's something you want to see. One thing I want to mention is I love and really appreciate the interaction I got on YouTube from my first Project Me video. I have, I don't know, maybe 5 videos, mostly of my woodworking projects on YouTube, and this one Project Me video almost, doubled views of my largest video to date that has been out on YouTube for over 5 months. So it did a couple things. One, it's exciting. I enjoyed going through and I had a few comments, which was cool. I got to interact with folks on YouTube, and it was folks that I knew, but it was still neat to interact with them on a different platform. But it also made me feel good. It made me feel like folks out, in my Instagram feeds and the Facebook world that I've built relationships with personally or just through social media, I felt like they cared about me. I got so many nice comments and encouraging comments, and people excited to see me make these changes, and anybody that knows me well knows I work way too much, so they're excited to see me, lighten up on that, and it's been pretty neat. So the more interaction I can get on YouTube would be super beneficial. So, if you have an account that allows you to like and comment there, that would be great. I would love the interaction there and the views. And I got a share or two off of my social media posts with the first Project Me video, so that's cool. And this one's kind of jumping around a little bit, but it's because I'm not scripted here. I'm talking from the heart, and that's how this whole journey is going to be. There's going to be some times where I'm vulnerable. There's going to be some times where I'm excited. There's going to be some times where I'm down. There's going to be some times where I just can't wait to get on here and talk to you all. So some of the changes that I've implemented. So I've gotten a couple texts and messages, hey Craig, you mentioned that you're making these little bitty changes. I'm just curious, what are you doing? One of the things that I've implemented so far this week was writing in a journal. And a lot of you know the benefits of that, and they can be great. It's not something that I've ever really done. I did a body transformation program way back in 2007, 2008, that required me to keep a journal strictly of meals and food intake and exercise. I did that, and that's about the only time I've ever kept a journal. It is neat to go back and see those things that I wrote and stuff like that. This journal is a little different. In order for me to keep this habit, I have to keep these entries short and sweet. So what I've done is, each day I'll take a little bit of time, what time I woke up, how much sleep I got, how many steps I got that day, how many calories I burned that day. If I implemented anything new that day, I write it in there. Some of the things, I'll go, when I started the journal, I put, I'm starting a book list of books that I want to read. And I've actually almost filled up a page from great suggestions from friends and folks in the comments. So we'll talk a little bit about where I'm starting on that list. And then basically I start, I've got my starting weight of this whole ordeal, because even though I keep saying that weight and physical appearance and stuff isn't the main priority, it is definitely a priority in this. I am roughly 100 pounds heavier than I was 6 years ago when I started my office job. When I transitioned from a physical labor job into an office job. There are a ton of other factors that went into that, and we'll talk about those throughout this project. But my starting weight for Project Me was 315.8 pounds. So that's where I'm starting. It's just hard data. It's a measurable point that I can go from. So a couple of the small habits that I implemented this week. A lot of comments and messages asking, hey, you're talking about these small habit changes. What kind of things are you doing? So looking down at my journal, I implemented something that a lot of people find hard to believe I wasn't already doing. But part of this journey is just to show that sometimes we do goofy things. So I've never been a person that was good at wearing my seatbelt in my truck. And so I implemented that this week. Every time I get in the truck, I put my seatbelt on. No more snooze button. I have gotten to a point where I hit the snooze button and I sleep past my alarm time. I'm not doing that anymore. Part of the most influential time for me is in the morning when I get up, and so I'm making sure that I get up at plenty of time to do some things that I want to do. I want to read, pray, or meditate every morning. I'm typically this week I've done about 20 minutes a day. Most of it has been reading, actually listening to an audio book that I got. Started walking, as I mentioned before, implemented the push-ups before and after my walk, and meal prepping. So that is the things that I've implemented this week. And I know it's only been a few days, and I'm not naive enough to think that this isn't going to get harder, but I really like how I feel mentally, physically, in my heart from just implementing a few changes like this. So I'm excited to keep going. So with that, that's kind of what I'm putting in the journal and some of the things I've implemented so far. I have a lot of things that I want to implement, and I don't want to do it too quickly and get overwhelmed with change. To me, this is about being 1% better every day, or even if I can get 1% better every week, long term, I'm going to be a much better person. I talked about the audio book. Audio books are something that I haven't usually, I've actually never used one, and I always thought, you know what, Craig, you hate reading. Your mind wanders when you're reading. You get tired when you're reading, but you have this desire to bring in information and learn and get into these habits. So I bought an audio book, a book that was recommended by a really good friend of mine, and it's Atomic Habits. And Atomic Habits by James Clear is a phenomenal book. So phenomenal that I finished the audio book in 3 or 4 days, I think, and that is unheard of for me, whether I'm reading it or listening to it. That's just crazy that I was so interested in this. First thing I did when I got up in the mornings was get rested, get me a glass of water, and start in on this book. I listened to it every time I was exercising or walking, and I listened to it anytime I had some downtime at night. Cut my social media back, so looking at that. It was really good. So I started in after that on a book that it's been a little slower to grab me and suck me in. It's by a guy that I've seen tons of YouTube content on. His name is Jordan Peterson. He's a psychologist. I've seen him on Joe Rogan podcast is where I first saw him, liked how he delivered some of his content. So I purchased that audio book. And it's a little bit harder for me to get into. I'm gonna fight through it. We're gonna get through this book, and then I'll tell you all how that's going maybe in the next week. This video is a lot longer than the last one, but it's looking like probably 3, 4, 5 minutes longer. I'm gonna try to keep these to 10 or 12 minutes, just so I'm not wasting all your time. But that's the update so far. I don't know when I'm going to weigh myself again. It could be today. It could be 2 weeks from now. As I do that, I will keep you all posted. And right now I'm getting ready to go make some breakfast for me and the wife. So I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. Thanks again for the support, all the kind comments. I love helping people, and if anybody wants that non-judgmental person that they can lean on throughout whatever it is that they're doing, hey, my inbox is open. I'll be glad to share at least what works for me and what's going on. So pray for me, pray for Project Me, and I'll do the same for all you guys, and I appreciate you, and I love y'all, and we'll talk at you next time.